Yeah, every band that I have is kind of like a totally different, distinct thing. Oh, shit. It's cursed.
What's up? This is Tom from Suburban Hell Tapes. I'm out here for Utopian Voids. Today we're at the lovely CK Cafe, a legendary institution in this area. If you know, you know. And I'm here with Manny from Royal Blue.
Hey,
How's it
what's
going?
up?
What's up?
Oh, yo, what's up, Tom from Suburban Hell Tapes?
What's up? I'm just here. I'm here. More interviews,
Cool.
more shows.
Good.
Keep the ball rolling.
Don't stop. You're trapped.
I'm stuck.
Trust me.
So I did a little research on Royal Blue.
Oh, cool.
And first thing I want to ask you is, when did you guys start as a band? Kind of newer band?
Yeah, we're a new band.
Okay.
I cannot really recall, but it was sometime last year. I think we played our first shows in October or something, September, October.
Okay.
Yeah. And prior to that, we had been a band for maybe like a month or so. I think we only practiced like 3 or 4 times before we played our first show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, I'm sure like for you it's got to be easy, right? Because you're already in so many other bands. And I wanted to ask how many bands are you in exactly, and can you list them all?
Yeah, so I'm like in 3 active bands, Knights Templar, Sexet, and Royal Blue, but there's like other things that pop up every now and then. There was a time where I like partook in a collaboration noise set with Burning Ribbons, which is Royal Blue members, and then I practice sometimes with my friend Rogers, who also used to drum in a band called No Pause. He's in a band right now called 2070, who are super sick. Yeah.
So you're staying busy.
Yeah.
When it comes to your music, do you guys have anything out yet on streaming or like released or plans for releases, or just curious? I don't think I found any.
No, there's absolutely zero plans. I wouldn't call us like a slacker band, but we totally aren't prioritizing recording and releasing. We're more like trying to construct I wouldn't say like even a sound, but more just being comfortable as like friends before we get to that releasing thing. I don't know. We'll see.
First, we have to be friends before we can be lovers.
Yeah.
Before we can be a band.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is the type of band where we like invite each other to each other's houses for dinner. You know, we give each other gifts and stuff. So
That's good. The love is there.
yeah.
That's good. When you do get around to releasing music, I was gonna say I know you're in tight with Repo Records, so I was just curious if there's any collabs planned there.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, so each band is totally a separate entity, kind of like its own little world, and you know, there's not really much crossover.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I kind of do prefer it that way, so that like my brain doesn't cross wires. I don't get too confused.
You don't start playing a song from a different band mid-set?
You know, I've been afraid of that happening, but it hasn't happened yet.
Okay, that's good. I know we only have you here today, but can
Yeah.
you shout out the names for your other bandmates?
No.
No? No,
Just
they're not
kidding.
allowed. It's just you? You're the star?
No.
It's all about you? It's all about Manny?
No. The band is like a total collaborative effort. So it's Christina, it's Robert, and it's Elizabeth, and yeah. Like I said, it's a total collaborative effort. There's like no primary songwriter, just I think like a drive to construct as friends, create music as friends, and just to be around each other. Christina currently has a solo thing called Primal Swirlings, and then another project with the band, or another project with a person named Bunny, right now it's called Chica Masa, but they're looking for a new name. And Elizabeth, Christina used to be in a excellent band called Ogie/Metadad. They're from Pomona. And then Elizabeth, when I first met her, she was in a band called Party Cuts, and then she was in a band called Star Power, and then she was in a band called Love Is Real, and then
Wow.
and then Burning Ribbons, and then Robert was also in Burning Ribbons, and so I don't know. I think like 7 or 8 years ago, I sent Elizabeth like a DM or a text being like, we should start a Twee band for whatever reason, and it never happened until like we ended up Elizabeth went to go see Knights Templar, and the band opening was this band called Pillow Fight, and they were a Twee band. And while they were playing, I went up to Elizabeth and I was like, we should start a Twee band. And then she later on, she sent me a text and she was just like, you already asked me this like 7 years ago. And I was like, okay, let's give it a shot. And for maybe like two or three practices, it was just Elizabeth, myself, and Robert, and we were trying to construct Twee songs, but like we're not very Twee at heart.
Can you define Twee for us?
No. I don't know. I mean, I guess like YouTube has its own perception of Twee, which would be like, I don't know, like flowery millennial, like talkative movies, and like, I don't know. But to me, it's more like Tallulah Gosh, and it's less of like a personal aesthetic and more of like a music genre. I guess is what I want to say.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah.
You have a really cute post on the Royal Blue Instagram with the teddy bears.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about your teddy bear alter egos?
Well, they're not really alter egos. We're just wild animals trying to be people, honestly. That's why we couldn't make Twee songs, because we're too wild.
So, what's your history at the Dog Gallery in Pomona?
Oh, man. I used to book shows at the Dustin for the Arts. It's so funny because there's such like an overwhelming part of like my 20s that I think when it just sort of like abruptly ended, I kind of like created a mental block, which is so funny. Yeah. I mean, it just took up a lot of time, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It was just a really fun, creative effort that I put my all into, and ultimately I met a lot of people. Sometimes we would have like 13 or 19 gigs a month at that place somehow, and then when it ended, I didn't stop. I was doing shows at other places, like Bridgetown DIY or my parents' house in Fontana. And at some point I was also doing shows at the Blood Orange Info Shop in the basement of the Life Arts building in Riverside. And sometimes all four places had gigs in 1 week that I booked. It's honestly just like the same pattern of me being in like 3 bands and working a full-time job, like there's just something wrong with me, I guess. But
sometimes I feel like we thrive in the crunch zone, at least for me.
Yeah.
But like, it's not sustainable forever. You can't keep it up forever to be in the crunch mindset, I feel like.
I'm not trying to live forever. So.
The candle that burns twice as bright burns half as long, as they say.
Yeah. It smells bad.
Any particular crazy shows at the DAW you remember that you want to reminisce about?
Oh, shoot. Okay, this is kind of why I had a mental block. Prayers played there, maybe like right before the Kat Von D explosion, so he wasn't totally like a famous person yet. But yeah, he played and there was like 1 million people there or whatever. And then I like left before he even started. But
it was still a success.
Yeah, for him, I suppose. There was like, I want to say 3 or 4 really crazy shows. Not because of the music itself. Like we had like for a whole year undercover cops going to the gallery. I don't know. I don't know if anybody watching this can recall that, but like nobody believed me for a while. And then I think like their appearances just became a little bit too uncanny. And one day I got surrounded by like, I don't know, like 6 to 12 agents. I really cannot recall. It's just like an insane blur. And people were like, oh yeah, he was right. And I was like, yeah.
So you weren't crazy?
Oh, I don't know. It was a really crazy experience. And I think it kind of soured a little bit of my enjoyment, but it didn't cause me to stop. I think it made me go harder and get harder. But yeah, I met lots of bands. Like Dustin played as Habits a couple times, which are really spectacular shows. Stay Cool Forever was a really good performance every time. Ogie / Metadad, Christina's old band, always killed it. Honestly, like my biggest memories are just of like people that have stuck around and like friends that are still around. Like we had like Kimya Dawson play once, and it's that I'm not dissing Kimya or like anything, but like all the people who became like super successful, like good for them, but I'm still just like a community person at heart, despite all the dark thoughts. Or because of all the dark thoughts.
I want to ask about another venue you mentioned, which is Bridgetown DIY.
Oh yeah, rest in peace.
What a cool spot. I missed that place. Yeah. I've been there. I played a couple shows there even
cool
a long
beans.
time ago. But yeah, like I've talked to people about that before, and they're like, "Oh, Bridgetown, like I miss that place."
Yeah. I feel like maybe currently in the landscape of local DIY centers, there's not necessarily like upfront political spaces, just like how Bridgetown and maybe the Blood Orange were. And I think they're like the language that they used was, I think, kind of like inhibiting maybe people's attendance. It was just very like leftist and anarchist. At the same time, it kind of seems to be how everybody talks nowadays. The culture that we've been like led into is just one of really intense political dismay.
They were pretty strict on their policies there. One time I played a show there, and I actually got kicked out after I played the show for smoking weed behind it.
Oh, good.
Because they were that strict on their
Good.
no drug and no smoking thing. I'm like,
Good.
all right, well. And then the band I was with at the time, generally speaking, they're really mad at me. But then we ended up playing a show there anyways, like months later, so it was fine.
Yeah, it's just run by people. You know what I mean? I think that a lot of the policies that we had there were just sort of like for, survival.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, because places like that kind of don't last that long. Like we could see it in LA. There's like a new like all ages spot that'll open up, and then like 3 weeks later, just will disappear. Like somebody will steal like a bunch of money, or people will screw each other over. It's just lawlessness, which is great and fun.
It's hard to keep everybody on the same page.
Yeah.
And like I think if you're when people have shows, they want to party and they want to have a good time, and then like it's really easy for it to get out of hand. You have to foster that environment of like mutual respect and like respecting the space and respecting each other and making sure everybody's safe
and love.
And then it also helps with not getting shut down by the cops.
Yeah.
So where are you from again, Manny?
Shoot, dude. I was born in West Covina, but right now I live in El Sereno. I've lived in Chino. I've lived in Fontana, Baldwin Park.
In El Sereno, there's one I visited a couple times. The Son of a Vet thrift shop. That place is
right.
so awesome.
Yeah.
So fucking sick. Check them out on Instagram if you haven't seen them before. But yeah, they have constantly getting good stuff in there. Lots of VHS, lots of music equipment.
I love to buy buckets from them.
Buckets?
Yeah, I don't know, buckets.
You always need a bucket for something.
Yes, I do.
All right. So yeah, any local food spots you want to shout out? Any favorite food spots?
No. I actually work in food safety, and
Oh wow.
everything disgusts me.
When you know what goes on behind closed doors.
Yeah. I don't recommend anything, but also like I'm not the type of person to sort of just be like, this is the best spot. Like I feel like I'm the type of person to just be like, you know what, pull up to a spot and try it out, because like my opinion might be different than yours.
For sure. Do you want to swap with me? Real quick?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, come on.
All right. I mean, I don't even know if you're gonna want to talk about this. Because I know you are in recovery.
Oh yeah.
How long?
So I've been sober for almost 8 years. I know like in certain like 12-step programs, you don't really like go overboard and say beyond. But so officially I've been 7 years, but at the end of next month, April? Yeah, I'll be 8 years clean and sober from alcohol and drugs.
Right on.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I haven't drank in like 5 years now. I stopped drinking because I was just sick of the hangovers.
Uh-huh.
But like, what made you want to quit doing what you were doing?
So there was like two things, and they weren't like super huge things either. They were kind of maybe like the most quaint experiences that maybe you'd hear like in an AA meeting. But like there was one time I had a friend over at the house, and she was like say like a medium or whatever, and she was like, so dude, this is actually gonna be really crazy. You're gonna love this, actually. Yeah. You're gonna love this. Yeah. She was like, oh, there's somebody in the corner. And I was just like, what are you talking about? And she just started like talking about this person, and this person, I guess she was just like, oh, this man, like, he thinks you're really cool, and he just wants you to be happy, and he loves hanging around you and your friends. It was somebody that we both know that passed away. I was like, oh, that's quite interesting. Like I am having fun. I'm having a blast, but I was still like getting wasted every night. And I would go to friends' houses and drink like a 36 pack. I would drink their 36 pack on my own, and I just wouldn't get drunk, and then maybe a couple of weeks later, it was actually at Bridgetown DIY. I was doing the door, and I wasn't drunk that night. surprisingly. And this person like sat next to me, and he was like, how's it going? And I was just like, man, I'm just miserable all the time. I just go to work and I get drunk. And he's just like, there's a place for people like you. I was
You're
just
like,
well, no, I was like, no, I've done that before. It doesn't work for me. And he's just like, well, what makes you so different? And I was just like, I don't know. Stuff. It's my first time in recovery. I was like 19 or whatever, and I had like 4 years sober or something like that. So this person was like, they were like naming people that like I had been in recovery with, and I was just like, this is too uncanny, like, who do you know? Then he was just like, just go give it a try, give it a shot. And I just I started going to AA meetings, and maybe like for the first month I was showing up to the meetings drunk. So, it took a while, it wasn't like this instant like thing that made sense. And even nowadays, like I was even driving here and I was just like, sometimes this doesn't make sense.
To to try to be
just
sober?
life,
Oh.
staying sober, keeping a job, it's all like just like interconnected, I think,
Yeah, for sure. So you're playing a lot of shows in 3 bands. Like how hard is it? Is it still hard to like stay sober?
No. And I think it's because I base my recovery on like my own personal spiritual experience, and this like enjoyment and love that I get being around my friends and playing is a really big part of that, like I mean, I go to meetings and stuff, but like I don't practice my recovery in the meetings. I go there to like learn how to do that in the real world, but that's me. That's my personal thing,
Right on. All right, thanks, Manny.
No problem.
I'm Dustin, here with Manny from Royal Blue, Knights Templar, and Sextet.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for watching. Back to you.
Smoke crack.
That was perfect.
Thanks for watching.